Welcome to my designer class. My name is Mercy and I sell Stampin' Up! Products. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I made this really cute bridge card, and I used the Geared Up Garage stamp set and the matching dies. So what inspired me is I am going to be leaving on vacation with my youngest son, and my daughter is going to be in the marching band at Disney. So my older son, who's a teenager, didn't really want to go to Disney, so we didn't want to pay for that, and he has an opportunity to go in a few years with the high school band as well. So anyhow, he's being left behind, and I feel kind of bad, even though he is extremely excited, actually, to be at home. So I decided to get him Netflix because our subscription ran out, and I thought this would be the perfect thing for him to do during his spring break. He can watch his shows and so on. So I will show you how I made this bridge card. It's actually quite simple. So I'll set this aside. Here is my base. You will need to cut your cardstock to 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. So I have already done that, but I will show you how I scored it with the stamping trimmer. And then I have a bridge. In the bridge, the only real measurement you have to be concerned about is 5 1/2 inches. The other is kind of up to you what you want. So I'll set that aside and bring in my stamping trimmer. And I use this for scoring. Here is my cardstock. So the first measurement I did was at 1 3/8. So I just lined it up here and I scored. And then I kept moving down to 2 3/4, so that would be right about here. I did go ahead and score this already, and then I moved it to 5 1/2, so right here, and I scored. I hope you can see this. I scored here, then I moved it, and just at 6 7/8, you got to make sure that doesn't ride up on there when you score. I scored again. So that's how I did the scoring. Very straightforward, nothing to be intimidated. And so now it's just the burnishing, because of course I've already done this ahead of time. And to burnish it, what we're going to do is kind of do a zigzag fashion. You want them both to come in. So eventually these panels are like this. Okay, so this one's slightly different measurements than my first one, but the first one was actually I messed it up a little, but follow these measurements and this will come out like the second one. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and where my my gift card is going to be. So I decided to do a slightly different color scheme for this one. And this is the Fresh Fig. And I use tape here, this foam tape, and I cut each one in 3 strips to make this. And while you're doing that part, it's really advisable to have like an old gift card that you can slide in to make sure you don't make it too tight, and it will actually fit. So I will go ahead and take this off, the backings, since I explained that. I could have actually done that on camera, but I just thought, you probably can follow what I'm trying to say. I have not done a video in a while, and I really actually miss it. As strange as that might sound, I miss doing it. It's a lot of fun, actually. Okay, so we just want to make sure it fits in, and it does. So that is the gift card portion. And the next part, I'm going to go ahead and add the side panels. So here we have the side panels. And oh, there was one stamp I did on my original card. It was this one, to do these little X's. And that came interesting enough from the Stitched All Around set. So if you were curious about that, for this one I'm not going to be doing that, but I wanted to point that out in case you were interested. So if you kind of want to make your own DSP, if you will, add some interest to that panel. you can definitely do that. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this, and this time I am going to show this side of it, and I'm going to go straight, I'm going to go all the way down and just have a little bit of a border on both sides. Okay, so my first one, I had it on this side. I showed this side, but this one I want to be actually more gender neutral. It's something you could actually give a girl or a woman. But women like being called girls, so we'll just say for a girl, this could be a girl card, because this set is generally viewed as more of a boy card set. And it looks like I cut my DSP slightly off, but hopefully no one will notice. Now you do. All right, so my bridge will go here, but yeah, I think I will go ahead and add the sentiment on here, just so it's a little easier to fit on. So we'll do a little stamping. I have my cardstock here, and I am going to go ahead and use Night of Navy to stamp this. I'm going to do the same sentiment, all geared up to celebrate, because I think that is so fitting for a lot of things. I just love that sentiment. It's just really fun and cute and so on. Okay, so there we have our all geared up. And I use the tag punch here. It's called Tailored Tag. Love this punch. It's really a great punch to have. And you can even create kind of flags with your cardstock if you want. I don't know if I can, oh yeah, I have something that I could explain that with. So what I mean by that is, if you wanted a flag, you could go up here and then you could create a flag at the end. It looks a little neater. I wasn't really careful with a slightly bigger piece of cardstock, but you get the picture, you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I am going to use the Mint Macaron cardstock here to create a matting. And now this is nothing too unusual, what I'm going to show you. A lot of people do this, and that is you just simply cut this down the center, and then you can create a matting. I'm going to put my scissors where I can find them again. It's so annoying when I'm doing a video and I can't even find my own stuff because I just set it somewhere slightly odd. Okay, so to do this, you're just going to bring your cardstock up, and I really like using wet glue for this particular thing because you can slide it around so you can get a very even amount of matting. And of course you have to match both, so it's also useful to be able to slide it. So I start off a little too big, and then I slide it into place. So that is our tag that is now matted, and I think that's really fun, easy way to mat something. Oh, I think I'm going to add dimensionals for this part. I did with my first one, and I thought it turned out well. So I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to bridge a little bit here. So this is definitely not going to go anywhere. And then take my backings off. So if you ever have trouble taking your backings off, make sure you push down once, because that will help you be able to grab it and for it to release. All right, so I'm not too concerned that this is not covered. Nothing's on there, because once we have that bridge in place, you're really not going to see it. I'm trying to make this straight because I hate crooked stuff. Okay, so now we're ready for the bridge. Now, one of the things I like to do is use tear and tape on one side and then just the liquid glue on the other. And I kind of have a reason for that. And the reason is the tear and tape I want to not move at all, but the liquid glue, I do want it to slide slightly because we do want this eventually to be laying flat when we mail it. So I don't want to obviously go over too far here with the tear and tape because we want it to be in the, but I think 2 pieces is about right. So here we go. I'm just going to lay this flat, and you can have a bit of a border here, and I think I will do that with this one. So the bridge just bridges it. It really doesn't add support, or it doesn't need to. I just want to make sure I got this level, which is pretty good. Okay, so the next part is I'm just going to add some liquid glue here on this side, and I will create my bridge. Okay, so there. And you can slide it. It should be able to lay, when you mail it, to be able to lay flat. And that's what you want, like that. I am not going to be too paranoid that this isn't 100% lined up, which is kind of why I did it on the left side. It's slightly less noticeable. And the other thing I can do is bring in my snips here and just trim it up a little. And it's almost perfect anyway, so really not necessary. All right, so now it's time to decorate. I have already gone ahead and stamped and colored my images because that does take a little bit of time, but I will show you which ones I used. I used the car, the toolbox, and the gas can. And on the back, we will decorate a little bit with this one. So those are the stamps. And then I also wanted to talk about the colors that I used. So for this one, I used Balmy Blue, the light and the dark. For the car, I used Mint Macaron and light Call Me Clover. And I kind of like the little bit of a green accent. So here I used the foil here. And I also used a little bit of the light rich Razzleberry here, just to carry out our little bit of feminine look. Okay, so now all that's left is to go ahead and add these. So I will start with the car, but I will put this kind of in place so I kind of know where to place the car. There's plenty of room here, so I'm really not concerned. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I will go ahead and add this. Now, when you're gluing this, really try your very, very best not to get any of this liquid glue on the front. It really kind of mungs it up and makes it look yucky. So that is one kind of downside of using this, but it will definitely hold it. So just use a little caution, that's all. And then one of the things I like doing here when I'm attaching this one is using a glue dot, because I'm going to have it bridged kind of between these two. And actually glue dots actually have a little bit of dimension to them. That's the word I'm trying to think of. So it raises it slightly, which is definitely what I want. So I'll quickly show you that. So my glue dot is up here. I want to try to tuck it in as best I can. And then I'm going to have it between these two. So I want to kind of not really focus on that border as much. Just kind of want your eye to skim over it. All right, and now I have the little gas can. This card is just a lot of fun. So if you are looking to give a gift to a young person, I think this would be a fun way, a teenager or anyone really. It would be a great little birthday card. And I will show on the back what I'm going to do there. So here we go. Just going to place this somewhere. Now, if you're folding it this way, you definitely want to make sure that it doesn't go over here. But this card I'm kind of folding this direction when I mail it. Whichever one you end with is kind of the one you're going to have to fold it over. So in my case, I did the tear and tape here, and I used the liquid glue here. For some reason, I don't know, it doesn't seem to lay right that way, but as you can see, it goes completely down this direction where I tested it out. I'm not quite sure how you can get it so it works both ways, but I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, so here is our panel for the back. And I will show you how that is with the dimensions. It's 2.5 by 4. So all I'm going to do here is a little bit of stamping, and then we will have this card complete. I hope you will give it a try, and if you enjoyed this tutorial, please consider subscribing first of all and giving me a thumbs up. Really am looking to get more subscribers. I've been doing this for about a year now. So I hope you found it helpful. Oh, that turned out not too badly considering the angle I was doing that. All right, so I'm just gonna put this on the back. I like using tear and tape, as I've mentioned before, because if I make a mistake when I'm writing, I can just kind of still take it off. It'll rip the paper a little bit, but I could also use snail, but snail I find sometimes will just fall off on its own, so I'm not terribly keen on that idea either. Anyway, usually I'm pretty good with not making too many mistakes. Although yesterday I was making a note for my nephew and my daughter smudged the ink because she was adding to the note. Okay, so there we have it. The back, here is the front. I'll bring back in my original card, and you can leave in the comments below which one you like better. This is with Poppy Parade and Night of Navy, Gray Granite. Let's see what other differences we have here. Of course, I colored the car with dark Balmy Blue and Night of Navy Light. So if you're curious about that, I really appreciate you taking some time to watch this. If you would like to order any products, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com, and happy stamping.